Assalamu alaikum. Today is day 15 of DDCDP23 in PHP and part 5 of building MVC framework in PHP. The following topics we will discuss today. We will introduce Twig templating language in our framework, the basics of Twig and template inheritance in Twig, and then we will move on to managing databases in our framework. We'll create a base model class and then create an article model class which will be used to insert records into the article table in the database. So let's dive in. So far we have been using PHP templates, and you have got the concept of what the V in MVC stands for. So what we do is we pass some variables. For example, if we go to some controller, so you can see we include that particular template and then pass variables to it. But there is a lot in templating than this. So rather than improving this system which we have developed, we'll be introducing Twig templating language to this application. It will be far better than what we will be basically developing, so it will save us time as well. Plus the advantage is that Symfony also uses it, as well as Drupal also uses it, and other popular frameworks like Craft CMS also uses Twig. So this is what Twig is all about, twig.symfony.com. It introduces itself as a modern templating engine for PHP. It's fast, secure and flexible. You can read about it yourself as well, twig.symfony.com. What makes Twig better than PHP as a templating language? So PHP by itself is a templating language for many. It had been introduced as a templating language, but now it has improved into a fully functional programming language. So this is how we echo something in PHP or use something like this in PHP output. But it becomes very simple. So for example, if I have to echo a variable in PHP, it should be like this, but if I have to do the same, so it will be just var and enclosed in these two brackets. So this is equivalent to this code. The Twig engine basically transformed this code into this behind the scenes. There is nothing special. Similarly, loops. So for example, we have this is for output, the two brackets, the variable inside it. But if you are using percentage with the bracket, it means you have to do some calculations or something like this, loops and all. So for user in users, for example, so this is just kind of something like JavaScript, and it becomes user.name. In PHP it should be user array and then the name key inside it. So we will do it all this, but first let us install it so that we can use it. And again, as I said, if you learn it well in this framework which we have been building, you will do good in Twig, in Symfony as well as Drupal, because both use this templating language. Also, Twig claims to be fast, so maybe under the hood it is faster than normal PHP. Okay, so what do you think should be the first step? Yeah, so how will we do that? So we already have introduced composer auto loading. So we can do is ddef, and if you are on your own machine, so you don't need to use ddef. We are using ddef. composer install twig slash twig, right? Simple. ddef composer install twig, sorry, ddef composer require twig. So it has been installed. What does install mean in composer? It actually would have copied. If you go to the vendor directory now, in the Symfony folder, or maybe outside the Symfony, we have twig. So this is where the location for twig is. Okay, so this actually became available as a result of that composer required command. The next step is, if you go to the documentation of twig, if you go to docs, you can read about them yourself as well. Twig for developers, and the basics is you include the auto load, so we already are doing that, we don't need that. Then there is a loader class, new this loader, and you specify some path to the templates where the twig templates will be placed. Okay, just like PHP templates we had, we will now have twig templates. So you specify a path to the variable. So let us first create this folder in the root the document or anywhere else, new folder, and we will call it templates. So here you will have to place your twig templates. For PHP we had view, but you can call it view as well, it's all up to you. So all the templates should be here, the twig files. So this is a class twig loader file system loader. First we will have to initialize this, so it will return us an object loader or anything you can call it. Then the second class which we need to initialize is twig environment, and we pass to its constructor the loader. This is the loader. And the second key is, so we can twig provides us caching system as well. So if you need to even further speed up creation of the rendering of these templates, so it stores it in a folder, so we can give it a folder path here as well, which is optional. So if you don't specify it, it won't be cached then, but we will do it. So again, first we will create the loader class object, file system loader, and then the path to the templates. And then the second one will be the twig object, and it will be created via twig environment, and then we will pass this loader to the twig. So in our application, what do you think, where will we be doing this? This is a question for you.
Inside the index.
Remember, you have to keep index.php very clean, and just a few lines of code it will be eventually when we complete this MVC framework. So yesterday also we discussed it. If I have to create a new class, what should I do? Container. So where are we using, where are we going to use this all? In the container. So I will copy the first line and go to, where is the container framework, container.php. So we already have no, sorry, not container, but we will use container, and we will use it in the services.php. So we already have one entry here, and this was done for database, right? So similarly we need to have it for the loader also, right? So rather than specifying it ourselves, like with new, what should we do? Container. And the path should be Okay, let me define the path, or we can do it directly here as well. So basically we are, if you go to, let me just do it quickly. So container, first we have to set, then we can get it. Okay, if you remember, we have set the framework database like this.
Yes.
That's why we get the database class from it. So similarly we have to set it first. So how should the setting be? It should be, sorry, we can do it directly also, twig slash, or if you use it here, use twig slash loader and then file system loader and then file system loader. Okay, so here what should we set? File system loader, file system loader. This is file system loader and double colon class. That's it. So set is this. This will be the key in the array bindings array, if you remember.
Yes, sir.
And the second value should be an anonymous function like this. And here what should we do? Now this is a question to you all. We will return this new. So just like we return new database, right?
Yes, sir.
So because we are specifying our own parameter, that's why. So return new twig loader file system, or maybe we can call file system now, file system loader. So here we have to specify path to the template. So what should it be? Base path dot, and it is in the root of the, so templates and nice. Is this okay? So container set will set the value for this, and now we can remove this. So if I now need, for example, this class, file system loader class, what should I do? I will ask container to, and this is basically container is available here. Container is equal to new container. So container get, and it should get me file system loader and its class. That's it. So it will return us, this is now that loader object which we can pass to the second part, which is this one, right? This is past this loader. So now we will do the same, and I will copy this one. So container set, we are going to set it for the twig environment also, the second part, right? So it is going to be, we will use twig slash environment. So set environment and colon class. And what should be the second parameter? Anonymous function. Okay, now we will paste that here. Twig is equal to new loader and cache is path to compilation. So we will change it to, we will create another, we'll call it cache. The folder name should be cache, and it should be base path, base path and cache, like this. Okay, so new twig environment, and we can call it just new twig environment, just new environment, and return it. return new environment, but this loader is not available to anonymous function. Why? Because it is outside the scope of this is anonymous function. Loader is here, so we need to pass the loader to this so that it becomes available, anonymous function. But the concept of anonymous function is that this function will be called later on, not now. So we will have some issues, but we will fix it. So more or less we have set up the Twig initialization system so that if we ask container to give us Twig, it will run this code, and also it knows that loader is needed. So for loader it will run this,
Yes, sir.
or maybe this just, so it will get it for us. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we need to create this cache folder also, just like we created a template, so that we can cache. Eventually we will delete it, but just for the demo purpose I will create a new folder inside the root, call it cache. That's it. Okay, now just for testing purposes whether our Twig works or not, I will go to index.php, maybe at the top of it somewhere here, and or even above the this. Okay, here I will Twig equals, I can use new Twig and directly, but we have done the changes in services.php, so that, and we already have container available. So container get, and we will ask it to get Twig. First let me just add it here. So it's use Twig / environment. It's a strange name for the Twig system, but we will go with it. So container get what? Environment, and what should be the second? Class. Good, that's it. Now behind the scenes what it will do, it will try to run get us the Twig class, but Twig object, but there it will see that it has a loader also, so then it will call that and initialize the loader also for us. Now if I dump Twig, or maybe DD for now, and refresh, so it has an error. What's the error? Uncaught argument count error. Too few arguments to function closure passed in this container.php on line 15, and exactly one expected. Too few passed. Too few arguments to function. So it means that the function is being run at this line, but it has no arguments. So if you go to container.php and line 15, where it is, this. So what does this mean? Actually we have passed, if I go back to the services.php code we have written, so you can see the anonymous function is being passed for the Twig.
Yes,
Is being passed the loader object, which is the object of this file system loader. But here in container.php line 15, if you can see, we are not passing that loader here.
Yes, sir.
Got it? So this exactly the same thing which we did for the params of reflection method, there is reflection function also. Okay, so let's quickly do that. If array underscore key exists class, for example that Twig environment exists and it has a method, so it says that that loader should be passed to it. So now we need to know which parameters are for this particular function. What's the function here? Anybody? This is your test, or maybe a recall for you. How can I know what the name of the function is? If you remember, the binding is an array in this object, and it has a key. The key is the class name. So the value actually is the function. So if I access this binding class like this, so it means this is the name of the function. Okay. So okay, this is for example, I will call new reflection and function is a class, this one. Okay, and it uses it at the top of the page for us. So new reflection is passed what? A function. So this is the function. So you will directly pass it like this. Okay, and we will assign it to a variable. For now, let us call it ref, and I will dump it, or maybe dd for now. Ref, and let us remove the dump from index.php. For now, let me just comment it out. Okay, so if you refresh the page, it is a reflection function, and it has its name is, the type is closure, and it has been called from this line and something like this. Okay, so if I where it is, we are in the wrong file. Okay, so ref get parameters, this is a method on it. So now what do you expect if I refresh the page? The parameters pass to this function, and it has no parameter. Why? Anybody? Because if we come to services and we are passing it the function, we have not specified the type. So the type should be, what should be the type? File system. Like this. This is being passed to this function. Okay, so this is because of dd, just got it. We should dump it and then refresh the page. Let's see if so this one runs for the first one, and then this is the second one where we actually want the parameter to be passed. So we can use an if statement on it. If not empty, get parameters, because this will return the array. If this is not empty, then we should dump it for now. So what are you expecting in it? Just one dump for now. Okay, so this is the reflection parameter, and if we, the type hint is file system loader. If I remove it, where did we add it? If you remember, we added it in the services.php, this one. And if I remove the type, this type, do you think this will be there then? If I refresh it, so there is no type now. So if you are able to get this but not the type, it means you haven't type hinted the parameter for. I will undo this now. Okay, so if I refresh it, we will have the type again.
Yes.
How to get the type of it? We already have some practice with it. So if I go to the container again, dump, then the get type, and if I refresh it now, what does this state? Object, sorry, this is array. This basically,
You have to loop through it.
yeah, so we can assign it as params array, something like this, and then we will have to loop through it for each $param array as $param. Then we can dump it again and we will get the param type. Like this. Okay. So now the type is Twig loader file system loader. This is the object type, and if I use dash get name with this, then what we will get? It will get the full object class path or name, you can call it name. So what do you expect from this? What should we do with it? We should create a new instance of it.
Yes, sir.
Because we need it to be passed to the, and if I go back, I will keep on going back to that original code we have written in service.php. This is the loader. It is being passed to the function, but because of the nature of the parameter, the callback, the anonymous function, this object we can do it directly like this. So that's why we are passing it, and then we will have to recreate this loader. We'll have to recreate this loader, and that's what we need now. So just like previously, here we will create a temp array. We'll call it parameters equals array outside of the loop. So rather than dumping it, we will assign this to the array, $sign parameters equals this. Okay, so if I assign this right now, what it will be adding it to the array, the name of the class.
Yes,
But we need to initialize it. We need to initialize. So if I knew it, but rather doing this, what should we do is in a variable, we call it what can we call it, anonymous underscore class equals this, and then we will new the anonymous class. Okay. Okay, so we are adding this is the name of the class, and we are newing it so that the object is created and saving it in the parameters. And if I outside the loop, if I dump parameters, and dump it, so now there will be an object of the loader class in it. So this is that object of the file system loader class, right? These are all the paths, cache, and this. There is one problem, I will just let you know about it, but for now what we should do is, this parameter is now having
the object of system loader or any parameter which is passed to the anonymous function. So what should we do it now with it now? Dot dollar sign parameters. So now we are passing those parameters to
Yes.
this
Function.
anonymous function.
Yes, sir.
This code actually, if you go to the services.php, so here this is now being passed to this
Function.
loader. For this very purpose we did this, so that is being now passed from the container to this. So hopefully the object will be created, the twig object will be created, and if you remember I just stopped the where was it, dd twig. If I now, because we are fetching it from the get environment class,
Yes, sir.
is the twig, and if I dd this twig, so if I refresh the page, parameters in container online 27 undefined parameters
It is inside the if condition. We are accessing it outside the scope.
oh, got it. For now let us just move it, or if not empty, let us do it this way. If not empty, so we will use it here, else if it is empty, so it will be without these parameters. Let me remove the parameters without. Is this okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now the twig is available. It is being output from the index page right now.
Yes, sir.
Operator is passing the parameters.
The loader parameter,
Variable.
system loader, to that anonymous function. Okay, there is one problem. If you go to this is set up properly, cache path, original cache, right? But if I go to path in the loader, this is the loader class in the twig which we have passed to it, so the path is empty. This is a question for you. The path is empty, but if you go to the services where we are initializing the loader class, this is the loader class. So if you remember, we have the pass return new file system loader, the path has been passed to it.
Yes.
It should be templates, but it is giving us empty path. What does this mean? That the loader is being new loader is created, but not from the container.
Yes, sir.
Where we are creating it, we are just hard coding it
Yes.
new this. It means we are creating a new instance of the loader file system loader manually here. So what should we do so that
To the
it
container.
exactly, that was my question, and thank you very much. So anonymous is the class name. We should not new it, but what we should do is, and we already are in the get function, so how can I access this function by itself within the function? This is recursion, sort of recursion. So this
This
dot get, and we will pass it the anonymous class. Now it will fetch it from the container. Okay, so if I refresh the page now, notice this paths variable. If I refresh it, so if I get to the loader class again and paths, now it has one element, and that is for this. So what does this mean? The twig template, actually the system will search for its templates inside this,
Yes, sir.
and the cache will be this one, var www.html cache. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. But we don't need the twig here in index.php. We will not be doing this here. Okay, so what we can do is, remember yesterday we created the base controller. Yesterday we created the base controller, and it had three functions: set request, set response, set viewer. we will leave the set viewer for now, and we will create another public method. And what's the advantage of this getting created inside the base controller? Set twig, I will call it set twig. And what should be the its environment? And $sign twig. Okay, so we will use twig slash environment, right? So we are setting this variable set twig. Here we should have a variable. These should be protected variables normally. I have made it public, but at the end of the day we can change all those too. So this private, we can make it protected so that it can be accessed in the child classes also. Protected environment, and the name of the variable is twig. Okay, this is the protected. So what we should do, it should be pass the twig variable, and we should do this assignment. This is a twig equals what? Twig. Now let me know where should we pass the twig to this base controller. From where we have done all these previously, in the container, in the dispatcher basically. So if you remember, here we return the new, we get the new controller from get method. So yesterday we set the set response. Similarly, how can I get the twig object now? Above it, twig, just like we created it in the index page. So twig equals what? New twig. So new is not now the norm after we have set up the container. So just like response, so this container get, and then the name of the, and that is environment, for example. And we will yes, sorry, colon class, and we should include it in use statement because it will give us an error for now. Okay, so environment should be used, and it is use twig slash environment, right? Okay, so what we are doing here, just like we sent request, viewer and the response classes to the base controller or the controller, that now we have set up twig so that we can use the $sign twig set twig, and it will be passed twig. That's it. So with this, twig becomes available as a property in the base controller. This here, is this okay? Okay, now any class which extends this controller will have the twig available in it, the twig engine available in it, you can say. That's the advantage. So we have one container, if you remember, we have been using it since yesterday, and that is student name.php. Here let me create another action, public function, and we call it test twig, just to see if twig is working or not, right? And it will also be passed id. Id is basically the name in the URL, and that's it. Okay, if because this is extending the base controller, now twig is available in it. So how to access it? $sign this twig, and twig has then the render method, just like we had for our own viewer. So it will be passed two things. The first one should be the path to the twig file. So here, for example, I will create an test twig dot, the extension is html.twig. okay, the twig extension is .html.twig. get used to it, because in Drupal also you will have to use it. And the second parameter, just like in our viewer, it should be an array, and that is the id. What is the id? Whichever is passed to it, this one. Is this clear? So this dot, and here I will use exit for now, just to see if it's printing, and I will print this. Now it will search for this in the templates directory, test twig, or maybe I will just make it test.html.twig. okay, test.html.twig id and this. So now if I come to the templates folder we had created, if you remember, and right now you can see the cache folder is empty. If I come to the templates folder and create a new file and call it test.html.twig, here we cannot use PHP now like this. It should never be PHP inside the twig file. That's why for example I have to print something, so it can be any HTML but no PHP, right? So if I have to print something in PHP like this, welcome to the world of twig, right?
Yes.
Mr. and the id is a variable, so here it should be PHP in PHP templates, right?
Yes.
Like this, and then the echo, and the variable is id, right?
Double brackets are
But here now it should be just double brackets like this, and remove the PHP tags. No PHP tags are now involved. This no echo keyword, only these two brackets, and here so even the dollar sign is not needed, so just id, that's it. So this is a variable, this is equal to PHP echo $id, right? So if I refresh the page, what's the path what should the path be? It's Haris/test -twig. Okay, Haris test-twig. Let us for now get the debugging off so that we can know what the problem is. Where is it? Index.php. These two, where are they? These are the, let us comment these two. Okay, call to undefined method set twig in dispatcher 47. What should what the path method is in framework base controller? It's set twig. So what we have used in dispatcher 47? Yes, this is not twig, this is controller, container. This one, the controller, we are assigning it to twig, not twig, controller. This method is on controller, not on twig. We are using the twig variable, right?
Yes.
So if I refresh the page now, welcome to the world of twig, Mr. Haris. So congratulations, you are now a twig user. You have moved to from your PHP templates to twig now. And Drupal, Symfony, Craft CMS, and many other frameworks may be using twig also. So if we go to the documentation of Twig. You can study it yourself as well, but let me just check a few things. And by the way, in Drupal, in your careers, you will always get back to this documentation because you may need it from time to time. So if I go to docs, and in filters, for example, capitalize upper. Where is upper? This is upper. Okay, these are the methods, PHP methods, basically functions. So you can directly use it after the variables, and they are known as pipes. So for example, if I go to the test.html.twig and I need to make the name capital, so I will use the pipe character and just use upper. What would you do in PHP?
We can
You-
use
String to upper, and then you will pass the variable in it and it will become upper. But here you will just use the pipe character and then this keyword. Okay, if I refresh the page, so it won't have any effect probably. Yes, why? Because as I said, we have set up the cache system also. So if we go to cache, there is a file now. This is that file. PHP basically caches the output so that the performance is even faster. So we will delete this file for now, right? Cache deleted, and if I refresh the page, Haris is now uppercase. Got it? So we will have to refresh it again and can delete the cache again. So better if you go back to, we will delete it again, delete. And if you go to the setting where we had set up the cache also, this one, new, so we will delete the second, this is optional parameter so that it is not cached for us at the moment, because we will have again to delete this all the time. We will delete it. Now it will not create the cache folder and the files. Is this clear? Okay, these pipes can be chained. Okay, so how to change? For example, this is the reverse, so I can go back to the twig file, and after upper I will use another one, and what was it? Reverse. Let me check if it gets reversed. So Haris is reversed now. First it capitalized it and then reversed it. So what does this mean in PHP? What would you do? First string to upper and then reverse. So you can just go to documentation, use twig like this. Another thing is, for example, if you need to output an array, for example, right? So if I go to the same controller, where is it? In the source, controllers, student controller, student name. Here we are passing the ID. Okay, so we can also pass some other keys also. So maybe names or cousins, for example, cousins. This is an variable and it by itself should be an array, right? The name should be Afaq, Kamran, Shahab. These three are fine. Okay, now I need to output this Afaq, Kamran and Shahab inside the twig template as an associative array, sorry, as a UL and I. So I will be back to the test.html.twig. So now we have UL and UL. exactly. It will now, the cousins is now a variable which is an array. So normally it is li, right? So after ul you will create, this is known as percent. If you are not outputting something, there you will be use the percent bracket. But if you are outputting something, this is echo actually, then you will use double brackets. So for cousin in cousins is available as a array, right? So here I will, what question is, what should I do?
The cousin is the single element.
double brackets and then cousin.
Exactly this.
Yes, sir.
So basically this is the loop variable for each, this is equal to for each, for example, but reversed a bit. For each cousins
Yes, sir.
as cousin. In PHP it should be for each cousins as cousin. Here it is for cousin in cousins. This is a bit like JavaScript.
Yes, sir.
So output cousin and you will get close, and after this and for, like this. Okay, you just need to give it 10 to 15 minutes and you will get what Twig does for you.
It need to be before the year.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, if I refresh the page, hopefully Afaq, Kamran and Shahab are there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I create an associative array, what is an associative array?
Keys will be
Key can vary.
Yeah, so for example I give it 3 numbers, or maybe the first one is, it is in priority. So number 1 is Afaq, for example he is my best friend. Number 2 is, let us make it small for now. The second one is number 2. And the third one is number 3. Number 3, right?
Yes.
If I refresh the page, there is no change. But for example, I have to just show Shahab in Twig, or maybe Afaq. So here I will create a PHP tag, paragraph tag, but my favorite amongst all of these is, so how will I access the first one?
Number one. Index number. Number one.
Why am I taking so time in these basic things? Okay, so here I will again use the output, these brackets, right? And the name of the array is cousins. So cousins, okay? And in PHP it should be like this,
Yes.
and then the number 1, right? But here it will be dot, just like JavaScript. Cousins dot number 1. So it's easier, right? Is Afaq. Got it? So this is very simple, and just like secondly, it is very secure also. Nobody can type any malicious code here. So for example, if you remember, we had studied SQL injection and the script tags getting output,
Scripting.
cross-site scripting. In PHP, what should we do? HTML special cars or chars, whatever, and then pass that script. So for example, if I have a variable here. Let us go to the container again, the controller again, and in the array let us create another one. Let us create another for example flower. The key is flower. Okay, is this okay, or we need a comma here? Okay, so flower, and it's some string which is script, and then output script. It can be any JavaScript, right? And here we should type alert. Let's make it quotes, single quotes. You have been hacked. It can be anything. So if I output this in PHP without HTML special cars, so this will be
Yes.
run as it is, and you will get an alert, right? But let us output this in Twig now. It's a flower, so you will be tricked. This is very safe. Let me do it. And you are expecting a flower, for example. No, this is outside of cousins. This is just another variable we are passing. So we are passing 3 variables to. The first one is ID, the second is cousin, and the third one is
Yes.
flower. And the flower is a script tag actually. So if I refresh it, HTML special cars or whatever is behind the scene done. So it's just printing text. But if I use a pipe which is raw, which should not be used very often, should never be used unless you really need it. So if I use raw like this, now if we refresh the page, so you can see it is now alerting it. So the raw means the actual value of the variable unescaped,
Yes.
right? Is this clear? Okay, one of the reasons I introduced Twig to this application is because firstly it is very popular and it has been built by a lot of very professional PHP developers. We should be using their code rather than our own. But the second reason is, if you remember yesterday, let me remove the raw from it now. Okay, if you remember, we had used 3 separate in the response output for a controller. Which one it was? We had to comment out these ones,
Yes.
because we had to set the body and we can only return one. So there can be more difficult ways of doing it, but we commented out the header and the footers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I told you we should wait for it. We have a solution for this. So that's the solution. In one Twig file, we can do all this.
Yes.
So how can we do that? If I go to the Twig templates, here we will create a base dot or home dot or whatever you can call it, base dot html dot twig, right? Base dot html dot twig. Here we should have all the HTML code here.
Yes.
So this is not working in Twig in my. So how can we do it? Let me just quickly create a HTML file. We'll delete it then, and here we'll just copy all this to the base.html.twig. This is fine. Okay, here we can use some variable again. This is now a Twig file. Okay,
Yes.
home, maybe home or anything, or title, and we are not converting it to the header like we previously did. You can do it, but for now let me just demonstrate what I want to show you. So inside the body, here we will create, once you are doing something with variables or loops and also you will use these percentage signs. Here you will create a block and we will name it maybe body or something, okay, and then this and block, okay. So basically this is a block we have created inside the base.html.twig.
Percentage sign. Not the dollar sign.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, one thing before doing this, I will refresh the page or maybe go to page source, so you can see there are no HTML and body elements, just the plain HTML for this test.html. So now in so we will delete this test.html now. Okay, test.html.twig, here at the top of the page we will use this extends and the name of the file. So base.html twig. So this file test.html.twig extends
Yes.
the basic base.html.twig, right? And here I will move all this code, rather for now this I will create another one and call it body, sorry, block body, right? And then end block. So here I will paste all that code inside that block.
Yes.
So now what it will do, this block will be replaced, it will extend this base.html, and in the base.html.twig this location will be used to place that code because it is extending it,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yeah.
If I refresh it, there is some change, and if you go to page source, so you can see it is outputting this code now inside that parent. So it has a very powerful inheritance structure also, Twig. You can Google about it yourself, because this is not going to be maybe in Drupal or Symfony we can go in detail to all these concepts, but for now this is enough. You can do something like this. One thing you can see, we have used the title variable but we haven't passed that title, so I think we can use with the extends. Let me just try if I with, and then the object like this, single with the title, testing, using with in Twig extends. We can also use the block also, like this, but I think maybe let us do it with the block also, but there is a way with you can do something like this. Okay, so if I go to the base.html.twig here, rather than doing it like this, what we should do? Block this, so block title, and then and block. Is this fine?
Yes.
Okay, block title and block. So what should we do in the child? Here we can just use anywhere, but at the top it is fine. Block title and block, and inside it we can write anything, testing Twig. And the title is testing Twig. If you go to view page source, so here you can Google about how we can pass variables to other templates. There is a with statement in Twig. With content as this. Maybe the extent I'm not able to recall, if with content as this. You can go through all this documentation yourself as well. So that's all we had to study about Twig. So from now on, what should we do is we should be using Twig rather than the PHP template system we had built. Okay,
Yes.
any questions? Okay, now let us jump to the next system we need to develop, and that is the database interaction. We haven't so far used databases properly in this application. If you remember, and let me go to free form, and at the start of all this course I had told you should have a concept in your mind first before going on to code something. Okay, so we will try to mimic what we are going to make by some diagrams first. So for example, I click on a link and for example add new article is a link, right? If I click on it, a form should appear. A web form should appear with title and description. So how can I access that form now in this MVC structure? What should be the form? What should I need for that form to be in front of me?
We have to initialize it and then
In the models, controller is available.
Initially we have two steps. Umar, please.
We can form HTML.
What is involved? There will be a URL involved, right? To access that form.
yes,
Yeah, so in URLs, what should happen when that URL is accessed?
yes sir, it will call the controller in action.
Exactly, the controller action. So in the action, what should happen?
Form.
There should be a form.
Yes sir, there should be a
So
form.
how do we display viewer?
Yes sir.
But now we have changed it to
Yes sir. Twig,
Twig.
HTML, yes.
exactly. So we will be creating a form for article in the Twig system, and we will be creating a controller action so that Twig is called. Simple. That's the process. Okay, so we can write it here. When this link is clicked, a controller action will be called or accessed, whatever. Then this control action should be will include a Twig template with the form. When the form is included, it should be submitted. The form should be submitted, right? So what's that most important tag in the form? Attribute. What happens when a form is submitted? Where does it go? The data go?
Database.
But
Through models.
through models, but through a path. What do you write in the action parameter? A path,
Yes sir.
something. So when the form is submitted, the action URL will be accessed. So again, what is the URL? Action URL is accessed. What should it be? Path. It's a path. So what's the path in this MVC architecture now after the new system? What's the path? If it controller action, that is controller action. So it can be, so we have to create two actions. First to display form, and then to process form, right? But as I have told you what the role of the model, view and controller are, so when the action is accessed in the controller, it will know that this is form data which needs to be submitted to some database table, for example, whatever. So what should the action do?
It will call the model class.
Exactly. So the next step is
Yes sir.
call the model class method relevant to that functionality, right? So for example, this is an article. For article, we should call the insert method of insert method of the model, because it needs to access that method so that it submits it to the database. So what should be in the insert model of what should be the code? The insert query and all that,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay, remember one thing, this method of insert model will not do anything else. It will just get the data submitted to the database and return a response to the controller function,
Yes,
whichever it was
yes.
accessed. So what that response will be, it has been submitted or not submitted, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so it should return its response.
Zoomed.
Model insert method, after doing its work, will return a response to any kind of response to the calling controller action. So there the controller action will know that the data has been submitted or not. So for example, if there are errors, in the form, do you think it would have submitted the?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. So what should that controller do if there are errors, for example?
It will call the error class
Error
or
class.
exception handling class.
No, if there are errors in the form, we should resubmit, show the form to the user that the name is missing or username is missing or something.
Errors, yes, sir.
Errors. So we should be going back to the initial form with those errors,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
So what should controller do then? Controller, tell me please. Controller action will
Go to the
Go to its initial state.
re-include
Yes, sir. Exception.
the form twig file
Along with errors.
with errors,
Yes.
right? So you now know how to pass parameters, variables to the twig functions. So it means there will be an extra errors variable for the class, and then the same process will repeat.
Yes.
That's it for now. Is this clear? So
Yes.
for example, if this link is clicked, it will access a controller action will be accessed, the relevant form will be displayed, included, right?
Yes.
Then the form is submitted, the action URL will be accessed,
To control and
controller action. There will be a controller action where the form action will be accessed, and there it will know, the controller should know that I need to now submit this, but controller should not take responsibility of the models. That's why it will regulate its workings to the respective model. There will be an insert method which will do the work, and it should return this response to the calling controller action. There it will know it has been submitted or not. If not, it will redisplay the form. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So let me quickly do all this first. Okay, one thing, let us create a table in the database first. So in the DB, to reduce it. Okay, we already have these tables. Let me delete them first two and recreate.
zoom out.
Zoom out.
Okay, so if I go to database and I will drop these three tables for now, maybe not the news table, but at least the or empty is fine. Yes. Okay, so now we have article table structure is AID, title and description,
Yes.
or let us for simplicity's sake we will make it delete it now and rename it to AID to the ID.
Yes.
So let me drop these tables. Create, I will call it article, and number of columns should be 3 or 2? 3. The first one should be ID 11 and its auto increment, and the second one should be title and then the description. Let me zoom it in. Okay, so description, it should be text and the title should be varchar 255. Okay, is this clear? And save. So now we need to add data to this article, but for this we should have a form, and we already have defined the steps. So let's start. In source models we already had an article model previously, but for now the norm is to create exactly like the table name. So article.php should be the model, right?
Yes.
Article.php. Then in controllers we can have a new controller, and it will also be called articles. It can be articles, normally the plural is used, but I will make it article for now so that it's easier for us to access the URL. Article / something / display or view or whatever. So the controller is article.php. This is. So let me first create the article controller. Namespace should be app/controllers, right? And the name should be class article. What should it extend? Base controller. And base controller is already included here. So what's the advantage of it? If we access a base controller,
It will have all the request and response method and
and
Twig method.
exactly, good. So now we will create public function new, right? Public function new. As I said in the here, a controller action will be processed. Add new article will access a controller action. So what that action will be? Article/new.
Yes, sir.
Article/new. So this will be accessed, and this will call then the relevant form.
Yes, sir.
So we already have twig now. So this dot twig dot render, the name of the function we will create now is new new article dot html dot twig. That's it. And if we need to pass any other variables, we can do that. Okay. But if you remember, yesterday we started to use responses,
Yes.
right? So we can use this dot response. It was set body probably.
Set response.
It was set body, and the body should be the twig file, this one, and return $, this dot response. We can automate this also, but for now this dot response set body, so it has the output of this new twig file. If you remember, let me just go back to the response class so that you can revive that piece of
HTTP.
okay, HTTP response. So in response we have get body and set body. Set body is pass some string
Yes, sir.
and it becomes the body of the
Yes.
response, and then we return the response. And in the index.php, where is index.php?
Inside the public.
Here at the end of the we send it, so this send will output it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the controller for article.php, where is that?
Down.
Okay, article.php here. Now we need to create new article.html.twig, and where should we create it? Inside the templates. So again, if it is related to some controller, so the naming convention should be new folder article, and then inside the article we should create new article.html.twig, right? Okay, so it should extend the
Base HTML.
base extends base.html.twig, that's it. And here we will define the form. So form action should be, now tell me what should be the action of the form, and method should be post. Should be capital or small?
Small. Both can be.
Okay, so form action is equal to this. So what should be the action? Article slash no, yes, that can be also done, but we need to have separate method for this. So it should be in
New.
article slash, maybe insert is fine, or new is fine also. New is being used for this form actually. So process, maybe we can call it process. Okay, so form action, article, process, and then we should have the closing form, then input type equals text, and name equals title, and label also for label for equals title, and this should be title. Similarly, let us do it for description, but that should be a text area.
Text is
Text area name is equal to description, and label for description, this label. Is this okay? The third one should be a button. Submit article. Is this okay? This will also be okay. Input type equals what? Submit, and value is equal to, yes, but button is fine, simple. By default it will submit it to the action.
Yes.
Okay, now one change we need to make is, because we have moved it to a separate folder inside the templates article, so what we can do is in the controller, here we should use article slash use like this. Is this okay? So now the controller, the name of the controller is article and the method is new. So what it should do, it should display the form for us, hopefully, if there are no errors. So if I change it to article slash new, and there is a template extends, another one cannot include content outside Twig blocks. Okay, one thing what we forgot was it extends base.html.twig, right? But we are not using block. So block body and one thing is that the form is now, and if we access it, we paste source, so that is also included. Even in the action you can see the process is there, right?
Yes.
So you can see the action is process. Okay, now this where is form? Okay, this is unstyled, right? So we normally from Google, if you search class less CSS styles sheets or something like this, so you will end up on a lot of such frameworks which lets you easily use those CSS in your file. So that for I mean, this is not a CSS lecture, so we will just use the CDN so that some of the styling is better than what we have currently. So this is bamboo CSS, so how to include it? Maybe there is some repository link. This is it. Sorry, this is exit. We should go back to bamboo repository, and here the light theme, dark theme, automatic theme, whatever it is, we'll use this one, light theme. Okay, then where should we include it? Anybody? Which Twig file? Main, which is the base one.
Base.
Okay, so here just like normal HTML, you will add this to this. That's it. Now hopefully if I refresh the page, there will be some stylistic changes. So now the form looks a bit better.
Yes.
Rather than doing our own CSS, we just copied one of them and used it in the head section. That's it. Okay, so if I now submit this, where should it go to? Process.
Article and process.
Article slash process, right?
Yes.
And now it will throw us an error that that path doesn't exist. So what should we do? We will first inside the controllers here, because whenever you are now accessing any URL on the server, it should be a controllers action. So here we will public function process, and here if I just dump, what should I dump? This is a question for you.
Form is submitted.
Yes, this is good. Form is submitted. And I will just DD it so that nothing else shows up. So form is okay. I heard this is a logical question. I heard one of the guys suggesting me to refresh the page first and then this will work, but it still worked. Why? Anybody?
When action is submitted, then it goes to the first, second page. There we submit action.
Yeah. So actually, this process, this will be called when the server is accessed, not on the when the form is submitted actually. So even in the previous form, if that gets submitted, the server, this will be accessed. So I didn't need to refresh the page actually to see it, because this will be accessed once the form is submitted. So even if the previous, unless I have changed the action parameter in the form, it will still be accessing this path. Okay, so here we need now to do something, and if I go to the steps again, what after this, the Twig form is included. When the form is submitted, the action URL will be accessed, that is control action. So its name is process, we have named it process, right? The next step is call the model class method relevant to that functionality.
Yes, sir.
So here the role of the model comes. So what it will do, here we will and if you remember, we already have, rather we haven't yet used the model here in the controller, or do we have? I will check it. But what it will do is, it will initialize the model, or maybe model is already there, we will just check, and then it will call that model's method, which is insert, for example. Okay, this is insert method on what? The model, whatever is the model, something like this. We'll do it, but first let us create the insert system. Is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So in the models, we have created the article, this, it will, namespace should be app slash models, and the class should be
Article.
article. Sorry. And it should have a public function insert. What should it be passed?
Database class.
It should be have yes, you are right, we should have a database class here, but one thing, it should have some data passed from, and it is going to be an array. And from where should it be passed to it?
From the form.
From the
Form.
from the controller. From the form it goes to the controller's action, and from there it will be passed to the. So if you go to the controller, this article, if you can see, if I $, or if I dump post, for example, just dump $, post. Let me do it again. So the title is this and description is this. This data should be now passed to
Yes, sir, to the insert method.
exactly. It should be passed to this. But should we be using $post now? Because we have now encapsulated it
No, sir,
into
we
the
have to-
request.
Yes, sir, we have to use a request method.
Exactly, and the base controller already has the request method.
Yes, sir.
You can see if you go to the base controller, where was it in the framework? Base controller, it has this property request.
Yes, sir.
So the request has the post variable in it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we should do is, if I go back to the article controller and I dump, what should I dump? This is question. $sign request, and then
And then $.
simple post. That's it. If I just refresh it, so no change. Now this is that encapsulation I have been talking to you about. everything is not global, it is inside the request class post property, right? And if I just need to access title, for example, so what should I do? It's an array, so title will be ASDF. This is SDF, whatever, right?
Yes.
So what we need to do is we can define an array here, and let me just define a data key like this array. It can have title, it should have title, and what should it be equal to? Tell me please.
$sign this request.
$sign this request and post, and then okay, but if it is empty, so it should be empty, otherwise this. So what can we do is empty,
It is not empty.
if not empty, post title. If empty, so it should be null, otherwise this. Is this order right? This null and question mark and
Yes.
colon. Okay, so the title is this, the second key is description. By the way, these title and description, they should exactly be like the database column names, okay, because we have reasons and you will know why. Okay,
Yes.
this is description and description. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now this is the data variable. We will now call the model class. We'll call the model class. But if you remember, we have, if you go to, if I go to the older news controller, probably it was, this is the news controller, so we are passing the new model this.
Yes.
And what is the new model? New model is this. So we initialize the new model, and now this is all automatic. Okay, so now we will just pass this model which we are creating to the article model. So this article model, it has a insert this, and if I just dump it, dump $sign data, and let me just dump another thing as well, dump. Now this data is coming from form via the controller new action, right?
Yes.
So that you know what is happening. Okay, this is the article, and in the controller, this article controller, what should I do now, so that I pass controllers the model into it, so that I can access it as this dot model dot insert and data. How can I do it now? This model is not available. What should I do? You have been first thing is we will use it. So use framework or app slash models and article, simple article. Okay, but because the names are the same, so as article model. Okay, now this is, we are just using it, but how can I initialize this into a variable so that I can access this model class? What should be the way? Public function underscore construct. This is what I wanted to hear, but nobody was letting me know. Okay, so we will now, just because a lot of it has been being passed to the base controller, we already have those, response, request, viewer class as well as the Twig class, but here we will just pass the model class. So it should be of this type, article model. So article model and model. And if I use private with it like this, so what does this mean? It is property promotion. Now this is available as a property.
Constructed promoted.
Yeah. So, and if I want it to be available in other classes or is parent, so we can use protected also. So protected is fine for now. Then now this is, you can see the line has gone because now we can call the insert method, right? Okay, so if I refresh the page now, or maybe yes, title, description, now this data is coming from form via the controller's new action. Got it? Okay. Is this clear, or do you need any explanation?
No, so it's fine.
Okay.
So now it is available inside the constructor, but how it's known by the model?
What? Which one? This one?
Yes, sir.
This is actually property promotion. I mean, this is equal to, if we create a property here, protected article model and model. Okay, then it will be $sign this model as property equals whatever is passed to it model. So this is the that was the shortcut for this. So now this model becomes available to us, and this is where is it initialized? It is initialized automatically by the container for us. So recap the second lecture probably, container in which we created the container, or was it third lecture?
Third lecture.
Okay, so there we have all used the logic to create these classes into objects, turn these classes into objects. Okay, now the next step is to use the insert method in the article model so that we can do all the processing, right? One thing, just like for controllers, we created a base controller
Yes, sir.
because we will need all these for any database table. For example, if you have comments, if you have any other database table, so the name of the class will be the same,
Yes, sir.
should be the same as
According to the table.
a table. So we are doing a lot of things, and we will have to repeat it in each class.
Yes.
So why not to create a parent class for the models also?
Base model.
So we will call it class article extends base model. Now you will know the advantages of inheritance in. So base model is going to be the base class which any model in our system will extend, right?
Yes, sir.
So we should move this table insert, because in each model there will be insert method, right?
Yes,
So we'll cut it from here, and in the framework it should be part of the framework, not app, because we want this framework to be reusable. So we could have the base model here inside the models also, but this is part of the app, not the framework. So in the framework we will create a new file and call it base, let me delete it. So in the framework. Where is framework folder? New file, base model.php, and what should be the namespace? Framework, because it is inside the framework namespace. And then the class should be
Yes, sir.
class is base model, and here we should paste that insert statement, right? So we will be doing all such functions in the base model, and the child model class automatically will inherit it, right? For now we are getting the data from the controller, right? Okay, let me give you an example of how should the insert statement be. So SQL, in this case, what should be it? Insert into article columns. So name of the columns, which are title, description, and then the values. But for the values we will use question mark, because these are two, so question mark, right?
Yes.
And then the semicolon. Okay, this should be the structure for. And then, for example, this is the SQL query. So the next step will be
Bind.
prepare.
Placeholders.
Yeah, so it should be PDO prepare, and it will be passed SQL. Okay, then this is not available, but we will fix it, don't worry. Then the next step will be to bind value. Do you remember the bind values? So it returns a statement equals this. So statement
Zero.
bind value like this, right?
One.
So this refers to 1
And then
and this refers to 2,
two.
right? So the first one should be title. So title comes in this data, so it should be data title. Data title, sorry, data title. And then what should it be? PDO column and it is string, so str. It is a param.
Underscore.
This is a constant, right? Str. This is this. The second one should be similarly, but now what should it be? Two.
Title. Description.
And this is going to be description, and this is also going to be string. This is 2, right? And afterwards we will execute statement execute. That's it. And we will return this, so that if it is some record, controller should catch it, and if it has not been successful, controller should catch it. Okay, now you can see there is a problem with this. PDO is not available. How to make PDO available in base model? If it gets available in base model, it means it will become available in the child models also. So the first thing is we should use constructor here as well. And one thing I forgot, it is going to be an abstract class, because we are not going to have a new class of this, but the child classes will have. Yes. Okay, so public function underscore underscore construct, and it should have a database class like this, and if you make it private or protected, so it will be available in the, and now this database is not here, so we will use, where is it in the database? App database. Okay, so this now is available, this database is available, and if you remember how to get the connection, it always becomes available to us via database is now available, so database get connection method, this dot database, this is get connection method, and it returns what? The PDO object, $sign PDO, right? So now this becomes available to us, and yes, you are right, no, that is not needed, because yes, here it is needed, use PDO. Okay, one thing, and we can take advantage of this class. For example, if I need this PDO again in any of the other functions here, other methods, so what I should do, I will call this again and again, the get connection. So what we can do is we can create a protected PDO, $sign PDO, small PDO. Okay, so here when we are calling it, we can use this dot PDO, so it will assign it to, what does this, okay, thank you. So now we can use this dot PDO everywhere. Okay, is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not dynamic. Why? Anybody? This whole process, especially the query, you can see, for example, we have a comment system, we will be extending this base model for the comment also, but here we have written that
Only
article. So what does this mean? We need to make this name dynamic, we need to make this dynamic. So how can we do it? We will create a property here, protected property for string table name and $sign. If I forget these $signs and all these, so please remind me. Okay, so protected string table name, and we can create a public function, or maybe protected function, or get table name. So what should it return? This dot table, this dot table name.
Just table name, not big table name.
Yes, it's table name.
Now we will use the table, the function name. We just call the function.
Yes, so this will return us this property to us,
Yes.
right? Okay. Should we assign it to a variable? Yes. Okay, let us do some calculation. So the name of the class is name of the child class is model, right? Sorry, article. Child model is article. So if I want to get this class from its parent, which is an abstract class at the moment. The parent is base model, right? So what we can do is this colon class. Okay, this colon class means that if in our case it should be article,
Yes, sir.
but fully qualified name,
Yes, sir.
not the last name. Okay, so for example, if I dump it here, right now we may not be able to access it, but it should be app and model and then article. Okay, now I want to just get the last value. I want to get the last value. How can I do it? This is an array question again for you.
We have to explode function.
Very good. And get the
Get
last
the last element. Yes,
last.
sir.
And how to get the last element?
Yes, sir. Through array 1 or 2.
2. But if maybe if it is a 5-step namespace, then it should be dynamic. So for that we should use array underscore pop. Pop will remove the last element from
Store it in
and store it in a value. So this is going to be the name which is written by this statement, right?
Yes, sir.
So we will explode or implode. Explode.
Explode.
So explode, and the breakage should be via this backslash. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so do you think this is fine? Again a question to you, this, why is this giving us an error?
Assigned to video.
Because this is backslash and this means that escaping
It
character,
will escape the.
so we will use double.
Yes, sir, double, yes, sir, exactly.
Got it?
Yes.
So this will return an array with all these elements, this, and we need to pop the last element.
Yes.
So it will be array underscore pop and this. Now it will return the last element, so it should become class name, right?
Yes, sir.
So the class name should be this article, and we will okay, then we will assign it to the table name here. Where is the table name? This, sorry, yes. This the table name is going to be the class name.
Yes.
And then we can return the table name because it is assigned to it, or maybe directly the class name, but it is calculating it. You should not be repeating this calculation all the time when we need, but for now this is fine. Okay, what is this? Class array is this. Okay, this the table name is the class name, and return this the table name. Okay, now in this here, what we can use, insert into what?
So insert into table name.
Table name, but
Double sign this table.
yes, but it we can call this method get table name. Insert it to get table name
Dollar sign, this is it.
Name, dollar sign, this get table name, and
We are calling the function.
we are calling the function basically.
So
It will return
we
it.
assign it to a variable.
Yes, but we have used it. Yes, we can do both basically, but here is calculation is involved. It will calculate it also. The name will be calculated dynamically, na? And then we are assigning it to the table name. If we directly access it, it is not calculating it.
So
Maybe
right
we-
above this line we can assign it to a variable, and then instead of this calling the function, we can use the variable.
Yes, this is what I wanted also, because each time we need to get it, it will be run this. So what we can do is, maybe in the constructor, once the class is initialized, it will calculate this for us. So class arrays exploit this dot class array underscore pop, and this dot table name, this is class name. Is it okay now? And then we can now access this dot table name. Is this fine?
Yes.
Something like this. So this code becomes redundant, but maybe if we ever need it, let it be there. Okay, so insert into this table. Now if it is comment.php, so this will be comment, and similarly, normally the table names are lowercase, so, or whatever it is. What have we used? Is it lowercase or uppercase?
No.
It's lower.
Yes.
So what we can do is string to lower this. Okay, so insert in this. Okay, now where is this data coming from? It is coming from the constructor. It should be coming from the controller. Okay, and we know what this data has got. So maybe it has now two fields, so we have hard coded these two values, right?
Yes.
For example, there are 10 elements we don't know, and this is going the parent class. It should all be dynamic. This part should be dynamic. Similarly, these column names should be dynamic, because right now we know these it has title and description, but maybe if there are 10 or 20 or 30 elements, all of this should be calculated dynamically. So what we can do is, there is a function in PHP known as array underscore keys, and the data should be passed to it. So it will give us an array which is basically column names array. Got it? So for example, if we pass it the data, and the data is title and description, so now the array should be title and should have title and description. The next step is, but we need it in this format with comma. So what should we do?
Include.
Well done.
With
Excellent. So call dollar sign columns equals implode comma, and what this class names array, column names array, sorry, column names array. So now it will be a string in this format, right? So here what should we use? The dollar sign and then columns. Good. Sorry, columns. Save. Okay, so SQL insert into this columns and values. Again, the values should be dynamic, right? We know we have title and description, that's why we have used two question marks, but we should have these dynamic. So how can we get?
Must be equal to the number of elements inside the column. are inside the data array.
So what we can do is, if we create an array, for example, if we have 2 elements in data, we should create an array with 2 question marks in it.
Yes, it is.
If we have 10 elements in an array, we should create an
10.
with 10 question marks, right?
Yes.
So which function we can use? Array underscore fill, probably. Array underscore fill. And what is, let us go to the documentation.
With 3 parameters.
Go fill.
Start with
Start count
So starting MVC, then the numbers.
values.
And then number of times, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's do it. So the starting should be 0. We want the array to be started with 0,
Yes, sir.
and then the number of data. So it should be count data,
Yes, sir.
$data, whatever is the
And then
count number. For example, if it's 10, so it will be 10. Otherwise, and then question mark. And this will create us an array of question marks equal array, and then it should be question marks underscore string. What should we do now so that it becomes a string in this format? Same implode, implode, comma, and then question marks. Question marks, right? In the semicolon. So what should we be using inside these values here?
Question mark and string.
Dollar sign question mark underscore string, like this. Is this okay? Okay, so now this part all is dynamic. So whatever is the number of data, these will be populated accordingly,
Yes.
right? Next is we are getting the connection, then the statement. Okay, now this value needs to be
Yes, sir.
dynamic as well. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So we already have data in the data array, so for each is the best thing to run. So for each $sign data as value, okay, and we'll move this code
The one line column. Yes.
to this, but this number should be
Dynamic.
a $I. So we can initialize a variable outside of it
So the
with,
index.
with 1 I1. So here it should now be $I, and in each iteration of the for loop we will make it plus plus, so that the next time it is I plus, it has incremented. So it will start with 1, then, and here it will be value, $sign value, right? And
But the type description, the type may be as
Yes,
in the
sir.
integers.
yeah, so that's the next thing we need to do. And
So the condition.
get type okay, here maybe for each value we can use,
Condition.
remember the match method I told you, okay? So match is passed an anonymous function probably, or okay, and value $sign value, and it is, we will be reassigning the value to whatever it is. Okay, here if it is integer, if the value is integer for example, but for each get type. Get type is a function in the value, right? And we will assign it back to the value. So get type, this will be passed to it. So if it is integer, what should be the value? PDO
PDO.
double colon
Yes, sir.
param
STR.
underscore str.
Int pass the value, I think so.
So param int. It's not a
Yeah.
And the function.
Let us do and okay. So
colon, sir. It's not error.
like this, right?
Yes, sir.
Unexpected.
Equal, sir.
Can you check? Maybe it is comma.
No, sir, it's sort of equal and then arrow.
This.
Yes, sir.
So why is it giving me error? Match.
I think it's not the function. Directly we can pass the value.
Value, yes, sir. Match is a match is
Matching
Is a function.
match and then value.
and then value.
Let me just recall my memory.
So I don't have a callback function.
Yes, that's the point.
It is directly passing the value, sir.
So remove and before the value. Sir.
Before the value remove and.
No, this will then not change it. That's good. But match is this, and we will remove this small. This one. Then this 5%.
This and is using in the array underscore mark.
You are right. So the value is passed to it, and now it will all be okay. So integer, and then boolean. If the type is boolean, and this should be video param bool, where it is. And there can be a null value also. It should be PDO param underscore null, and the last one should be if none of them match, so we can make it default.
Default str.
The default should be
Default without wisdom.
yes, correct.
Default.
So it should be PDO str. So the match statement will match the value and match the value against the get type. we should use the get type function. It returns any of these values: integer, bool, null and default. So if any of these is matched, integer, boolean, null, the values should be these, otherwise default. So now the value should be
There's
So now it's array.
this should be type, not array. We are not changing the value. So each time this is the value, should be the value of the data array, and this should be now time type, right? And then the I plus plus will incremented each time. So we are binding each value to this, that's it. And remove this one. So let me recap. For each value of the data, we are getting the type of the value, and if setting it into the type, and if it matches any of these values, the corresponding PDO type is used here, and it is bound in the loop. So for example, if we have now 10 values in the data array, all of this is dynamically done, and then at the end we will return the execute, right?
Yes.
So if it returns it, return execute, where it will be caught
Inside the model.
inside the
Article.
controller's article function. This we are calling it here.
Yes.
So we can call it result or anything for now. Are we including the
No, we have
Model.
moved that insert method to the base model. We are using the main directly article model.
yes, but it is extending it. You should be extending it, right? Base model. It is public function insert array model, base model. And this is article. Are we extending the model? It is not using the
Yes, I use
use framework base model, right? You should know how important are the use statements. Hopefully that line will be not there now. So this our model, this, and for now I will just dump it, the result, just to see what it gives us. Dump, or we should delete. Okay. If I okay, so there is some exception. Article process, you must have to add the type with
argument, yes.
where is it, where are you passing the so let us check and investigate. This is okay, this must be coming from the database initialization which we have done in the services.php. so let me check if there is some error in service.php, and where, what is the, I think this is hard coded, that's why it should be app. So if we change it to app, hopefully this will fix it. At least this error will go away. And yes, and what does the true mean? The insert has worked probably. Let us check. That will be a big news. And these values are there. Maybe we have added them twice, but it's a good news. So the problem was with this. We should probably not hard code.
You can make it dynamic.
Yeah. So how can we make it dynamic? We will first yes, it is already there, so we can use database and then colon class. So now whatever it is should be, and even if the namespace changes for this database class, so automatically it will be inherited in this. That's one of the advantages. Otherwise we would have to make two changes twice. Okay, so the true we are getting in the dump means that in the controller for article we are calling the this.model insert data. We are passing the data which we get from the form, and the result is this, and it is giving us. So what we can do is we can issue some redirect from here, because we are inside the article controller, so it has the response class, and response should have a redirect to some other page, maybe where all the records are being shown. Okay, but right now let us celebrate it, and this is working fine. And in the what is the insert method, if we go back to just for the recap, in the base model, this is the insert method we have created. It is passed the data from the controller action. So we are getting the column names here and using the logic, and then we are getting the question marks and passing them to the insert query, and here it is being assigned the relevant video parameters in this logic, and then we are returning the response from this execute method to the controller this. So here we are getting, if we print this out we can so for example, if I just for a demo purpose how powerful this can be, we will build on it, but let me create a new database table, excuse me. It should be for them student, and it is 4 columns or 5 columns. So name, it is ID. One thing, we are not going to use SID or something like this, because we have used just the ID for now. Okay, but in case if we have different column names, so in the model class we can define some logic. For example, protected ID column, it should be ID by default. So if it is different, then if we have to, for example, update a record or fetch some records, and we can use that as a column name, so that different names can also be used other than the ID. So now if we create this table and create a relevant form for this, and just the class for its model class which extends the base model, and it is submitted, it will automatically add data to the database. So it all depends upon the array now.
Yes, sir.
The values of the array which comes from the form to the controller class and the controller action. So what's next in the controller? When this is true, if this is not true, it means there will be errors.
Yes.
That's why. So for errors, if we will go back to the base model, and here we will define a key, and it should be errors. This is going to be an array So if there are some errors, we will populate this. So we can create a function or method and the method should be public function add error, and it should be passed a string of error. So what should it do?
Return that error.
It will store dollar sign this dollar sign errors, and it is an array, so
Yes, sir. It is
equals dollar sign array error, sorry. So whatever is the error, it should be passed to this, right?
Yes.
Then we should have a validate method also. Public function validate. What should it be passed? Any data from the base. Public function validate data, and this is going to be an array. So what should validate do? It should loop through the data. So for each data as value, if empty dollar sign value. If the value is empty, what should it do?
It will populate error.
Exactly. So how are we doing it? Through add error. So this dot add error, and it should be passed the error, relevant error. Okay, so we can pass the field, and here which field? Maybe this is key as dollar sign key value. Why do we do this? So that we can have the key as well. So the field dollar sign key is missing, please add it, something like this, right? So when should we call the validate method? Before the insert query, before this all this execution, even here in the start. So if so, what's the name of the method? Validate. Validate is pass the data, right? So we will call this dot validate. What to validate? The data which is passed into this data, right? So once this is run, if there are errors in it, empty values, so it would have populated the errors, this errors.
Yes.
Otherwise it will be all okay. So what we can do is, if not empty, what? This dot errors. If this is not empty, then what? Return false. What does this mean? If you remember, if the insert goes well, this returns true.
Yes, sir.
But if it is not empty, means there are errors, then this will return false. So if this is false, what does this mean? The controller will get a false value.
Yes, sir.
So this result will be false. So if this is false, if not result, for example, if not result mean that there are some values in the errors array, right? So we can make a function in base model which is get errors. So what will it do? Public function get errors, and it will return this dot
So this errors.
errors like this. So we can now call that function in the this one. So if not result mean if this is false. So what we can do is because the model is already in the controller, do you agree? So this dot model dot what get errors, and it will be a method. So and we can assign it to errors like this. Okay,
Yes.
so if there are errors we should pass it to we should display the form again,
So,
right? So what should be the output? This dot twig, we do have twig, then render, what to render, what was the name of the form?
article HTML.twig.
New article.html.twig. So it is article dash new article.html.twig, and the values it is being passed should be should first have errors. The errors should be $sign errors like this, and the second value should be should there be any value?
Science.
For now let us keep it like this, and it should be not this dot twig render this, we will make it the body of the response, this dot
Set body.
response dot set body, and we will pass it this like this. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, now the new article dot html dot twig should have the errors array,
Yes.
and we will go we will go to new article dot html dot twig. At the top of the form here we will use a if statement. If errors if errors is set, is not empty, not empty. What does this mean?
There is something.
There are in the errors, and it will be end if, and for now we will use first UL and then here we will loop. So for error in errors, now you have got independence from the $sign which you used to have for PHP. This is end for. So for error in errors we will just display li and double brackets error, and here we can have a class of class is equal to $sign error, just the class is error, and we can define this CSS class in where the base.html here, just for simplicity's just style tag, and here you will dot error color red font weight bold. Let us try if all this is working now. So we will go to article / new first. Why is this slow now? Because the CDN link for CSS is not loading. for some reasons.
Remove the serial.
For now, let me just cut it for a minute. Okay, so this is the, if you leave it empty, null return. Okay, we are not returning anything. We are not returning what?
Error.
No, not the error, but from the controller, we are not returning response. This dot response,
Return.
and then we will return
$response.
response, right? Hopefully the error would be gone. And now there were errors, so we are getting this. Hopefully, if I just paste the CSS again, if it is working, so that will look better.
The main base.
And this control Z.
Okay, so you get the concept. So now there are errors, that's why these values are, and if for example this is new article and this is description of it, so it will be saved in the, I must put out this response null return in 55. Okay, so again this seems to be some issue for, because we are not returning anything from because it's now successful. If you go to the database, there will be an entry. This one, this is new article, okay? But since we are not returning anything after it, it is just returning. If I go to the article, this is now true, but we are in the true case, we are not doing anything. So we should either redirect
Yes.
and something like this. For now we will redirect to all. What is all? Or index. So in the article controllers, not the controllers but the model article, and in the base model rather this, we will create a new method and it should be at the top of the page after the insert here. So public function get all. What should the get all method do? Get all the records from the particular database table. Okay, so this should be a simple query. Get all should we will create a SQL query. Select all from which table? Article. But this should not be hard coded, so we'll be using the same thing here. This dot table name. Select all from this dot table name. That's it. The next thing is, because there are no parameters in it, so we can directly run it. And how should that be done? PDO query and SQL. It should return a statement, right? And then this dot PDO. That's why I was referring to this previously, because we will need PDO in other methods also, so it was a good practice to add it to the PDO object. Okay, so this dot PDO and this, then statement fetch all, and then PDO fetch a source, like this. So it will return what?
Data from the table to the statement.
yeah, so it will be records this and then return records. Simple. Okay, so the get all method will do this for us,
Yes, sir.
but rather than returning records, what should we do? We should create a new in the article all.html.twig, right? It should also extend this base and then it also should have the body and body. Is it okay? Okay, so for
In block, sir. And
that's why the color was different. So it should get a value from that result and we can call it anything, but first let us go back to the controller. Where was it? Not in controller but the base model, this one, right? So here rather than returning it, what should we do? We should call the this dot twig
this dot response.
yes, the one thing we were just about to make a mistake. The base model should never include the twig. Models should never include the twig. Twigs should be included from the controller method. So this is fine.
Yes.
This we should return it to a method in the controller. This controller, okay. So here we should create a public function process. All, and all should what should it call? This is a question for you.
Call the result element.
This dot
Display.
model dot get all. Look, this all will be called from the URL and it in turn will call the get all method of the model. So it will return result or records, whatever records, right? The next thing is we should use this quickly just to paste it. So this is response set body render and the name of the is all.html and the value should be records and this should be records, and we can quickly copy code from and then return the
Dot some response. This response.
response like this. Okay, this dot return and this is just okay. So in the all.html.twig we can quickly copy the errors code and change it to
Records.
records. So this will be records and this
Record.
record in records and this should be record nothing record. This should not be error. Is this fine?
Yes,
For
sir.
record in records it is printing record.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So if I go to maybe if I go to the form again, article/new, Had we removed that CSS file? Then maybe it is not saved, or internet is not, whatever. So okay, so this is a new one, and after, and this is something else as well, submit article. So what does this mean? Okay, there must be a type framework response null returned in dispatcher video. Okay, what are we are going to article process, right? This again is the return response problem. So if I go to the article and process, where is the process? This result is this. Okay, now we should redirect to the all method, because this is returning true, this, okay, and we should go to the all action. So how can we do that? Right now I am going to make it hard coded, but once we have used the redirect function in, so location article slash all, and then exit. This is fine. So once this is submitted, and we can use if statement, if $result is true, then do the redirect. Like this. Okay, so if I go back, change some values again, and it is now redirecting article slash all, right? But framework base model video must not be accessed before initialization in base model 59. Okay, 59.
Base models.
Okay, this is the problem, because we are accessing PDO before the initialization. So probably in the constructor we need to set that, rather than we were setting it somewhere else. So this dot PDO equals what? Database get connection. Where are we setting it previously? We should comment that line. This dot PDO get this. Maybe this is not needed now. Let us try. Okay, so article and all, it is returning to array to string conversion in line 324. Okay, sorry, because those records are now, it has article and description in it, this, so it should be dot title.
Not title.
Now all of those are visible. So we will go to article slash, if I zoom this URL for you, sorry, not the page but URL. If you go to article slash new, what should it give us? The form. So cricket match in Pakistan, right? If I submit the article, it should go to the all page, and you can see the cricket match here. So I think this class has been quite long one. See you tomorrow for the remainder of the database setting up things, but at least we are on the right track of setting something very really powerful. With this approach, we can create any database model class for a table, and we can pass from the form submit script, pass those data variables to the insert query of insert method of the model, and it will be submitted to the database.
Yes.
So thank you so much. See you in the next lecture.